YouTube, how's it going? Frogs Angels back with some more NFL position rankings. I've been doing a lot of duo rankings, and we're finally at the 4-3 defensive end duos. Now, I took all the 4-3 potential 4-3 teams here. There's actually two, maybe three teams that I think could run a 3-4 based on the players they have, but will they is the question. These are the projected 4-3 teams. I have said in the past I do prefer the 4-3, but it really depends on the players you have. So what I did on this video, usually when I made these videos, they were mostly top 10s, and I broke it down. Obviously, before making the video, I listed out my top 10s. This one, I only pulled four teams. I think there's four elite teams, and I've ranked those four teams. The rest are, I think everybody's pretty solid. You know, some of the 3-4 outside linebacker duos, there's ones that are pretty weak, I would say. But every single one of these teams has a pretty solid duo here. So I'm pretty much going to do this live. I'm going to remove a team by team. But a lot of these teams are pretty even. Again, I'm pretty confident about my top four. But the first team will take off. Again, all these teams are pretty solid. But just looking at it right now, I'm going to take off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Um, could be better than where I have them, really. Last year just had a pathetic number of sacks, honestly, but they have two new guys in there, Jason Pierre-Paul and Vinny Curry. Now, I'm not in love with this duo, even though they both can play. The Eagles didn't really want Vinny Curry anymore. He didn't really do much. People, I think, are getting a little too hyped on him just because he came from the Eagles. I mean, maybe he didn't do much because there's so much good talent ahead of him. But still, it's kind of a question mark. And then same with Jason Pierre-Paul. Very inconsistent. 1 year, Pro Bowl caliber. Next year, just not really playing at a good level. So you don't really. It could go game by game too. So I mean, two guys that could be solid. I mean, just two guys you just don't know what you're gonna get from them. So that's why I'm gonna take them off the board first. They do have Noah Spence, who I liked coming to the draft there, but he's got to stay healthy. So they do have other guys, some young talent in there, but JPP's obviously getting up there, but he can still play. Obviously, they're high on him. They traded for him. I'm not going to doubt him. It's just two guys that have a little bit of question marks. But again, these 4-3 teams have pretty solid duos, and it makes sense. I do prefer the 4-3. Um, but yeah, Bucks come out first. Next team we'll take off is the Colts, who could be pretty solid. I am a fan of Jabal Sheard. Love that pickup a year ago. Plays pretty solid. He knows how to play the outside linebacker position and the defensive end position. Then I'm projecting Kamoko Toure to start, the rookie out of Rutgers, and I think he can make an impact early. But just since we haven't got a snap yet, since they're switching defenses to a 4-3, might see some struggles at first. They did get Lewis out of Ohio State. I like him as a three technique possibility though, in a 4-3, I should say. So we'll take the Colts off next, but don't sleep on them. Maybe I'm sleeping on them a little bit, but it's just because the switching of the defenses for their current players, and Toure has not got a snap yet, and the other teams are pretty good. Another team I want to take off. Let's see. A lot of these teams I'm pretty even on, so I really wouldn't want to put a number on these teams where they rank. But I'll take the Lions off. I do like Ziggy Ansah. Anthony Zettle's the other guy on the other side, opposite of Ziggy Ansah, most likely. He's kind of underrated. You know, he kind of gives you some good production. No, not too many people know his name, is what I'm trying to say. Pretty underrated, under the radar guy. Ziggy Ansah is definitely the better one of that group. They may show some 3-4. I've talked about the Lions before. A little bit of hybrid defense, so maybe that's why I'm kind of taking them off early, and they're kind of one-sided because Ziggy is the better of the two. He needs to play. I think Ziggy can play better, though. He's been good, but I think we've seen what he has in him. I think he can do better, but still very good. Um, Next off the board, I guess we'll take off the Seahawks. Frank Clark, who I think is pretty solid. I think he's going to get more opportunity now. I think he can play at a high level. And Rasheem Green, I like fitting in that defense. Another rookie, though. We don't really know what we're going to get from him, but I do like to fit in that defense. But maybe a duo that needs a little more developing. But I think Frank Clark could be a breakout player this year. So Seahawks come off the board there. Um, Who's gonna be next? This is very tough. Like I said, I didn't really split these teams up here. I have top four elite teams. In my head, I got some teams that are close to that top four, but a lot of these teams are very even, pretty solid. Let's talk about the let's talk about the two teams now. Before we go into that, actually, I'll take off the Panthers. I do like Mario Addison, but Julius Peppers not playing at as a high level as he once was. He's definitely on the decline. I think they need another pass rusher opposite of Addison, and Addison is good, but he's not elite or anything. So I think they're going to come off the board next here. But now we'll talk about the two teams I think have the players to possibly be a 3-4, but they're projected to run a 4-3. The two teams, I should say. They are the Oakland Raiders and the San Francisco 49ers. The Raiders, obviously, Khalil Mack, one of the best, maybe the best defensive player in football. I thought was more of a 3-4 outside linebacker, to be honest, but he can play the DN position 4-3. He's very talented. And then Mario Edwards, I view as more of a 3-4 defensive end. They're projected to run the 4-3. They're going to run a lot of nickel packages. That works better with the 4-3, obviously. So, very good two players. Based on the duo itself, the two players, maybe it shouldn't come off the board yet, but how do they fit in that system? Obviously, Khalil Mack is the better one of the group, so maybe not that much of a duo. But I'm going to take them off the board just because I view them as maybe being a 3-4 team. They're projected to be a 4-3. We will see. The Niners, the other team. Solomon Thomas I view as a 3-4 end, and Tariq Armstead I view as a 3-4 defensive end. I cover the draft. Everybody should know I cover the draft. That's where my expertise falls under. So I kind of view these younger guys as where I evaluated them coming out of the draft. They're very good players. Both of them are very good players. They can play that DN spot in a 4-3. Which they're projected, but I just view them more as an impact in a 3-4. They're not going to have freak athleticism off the outside. Two young players I'm looking forward to watching. Could be very dominant, could be good, but again, I view them more as 3-4 players. So we'll take the Niners off the board, but again, they can make a huge impact as a unit, and that D line looking pretty good for the future. The whole defense looking promising for the future. So next off the board we'll take the Patriots off the board. Trey Flowers and newly picked up Adrian Claiborne, who Claiborne shown signs of that he can play, really. I mean, he had 6 sacks in one game against the Cowboys. That kind of took up most his production though. So one game. So that's a little concerning, but we know he has it in him. Trey Flowers pretty solid. Needs to stay more consistent, though. Really shows up in big games at times, you should say. So that's pretty important. But could stay a little more consistent. But I think that's a pretty even duo. So pretty solid. And they do have some depth, young depth. They got Dietrich Weiss from last year and Derek Rivers, I believe. So they drafted two defensive ends in the 2017 NFL draft. So those are two guys to look out for, maybe stepping up. You never know. Guys step up for the Patriots out of nowhere. So who are we going to take off the board next? Pretty solid defensive end duos here. We'll take off the Bengals. Carlos Dunlap, pretty solid, still playing at a pretty high level. I expect it to be Jordan Willis, the rookie from last year to Kansas State. Pretty good rookie season. I expect him to step up more, have a better season, get more action. They do have Michael Johnson, though. So we will see who the actual starters are. But I'm projecting, obviously, Carlos Dunlap and Jordan Willis. I think it's a pretty good duo. Pretty even duo. Dunlap the better one, but I think Willis could really step up. He's got the technique of pass rush down, and that's why I liked him a lot in the draft a year ago. So Bengals a team to look out for there. Young talent on the defensive line. Next off the board, we'll take another interesting team here that could be higher in this, could be lower in this. Very interesting. It would be the Saints, because they have Cameron Jordan, elite defensive end, you could say, or very close to being elite defensive end. But production opposite him wasn't really all there. Alex Okafor, I'm not super high on him. They played Sheldon Rankins at a D tackle position here and there. I viewed him more as a D tackle. I don't know what they're going to do with him. They draft Marcus Davenport. They trade way up. They give up future to get him. So you have to believe they're high on him. I mean, you have to play him right away if you're that high on him. I think he can be a very good player. So, in my opinion, I would prefer Cameron Jordan, obviously, than Marcus Davenport on one side. And I think Sheldon Rankins fits better as D tackle. So I'm looking at a Cameron Jordan, Marcus Davenport duo. Okafor can play. Again, I'm not super high on him. I think Davenport era should begin right away. What you gave up for him and his potential, the only way he's going to reach it is by playing opposite of Cameron Jordan. It's going to help big time. So it's kind of one-sided because we haven't seen Davenport play. It was kind of one-sided in the past. Cameron Jordan very good though. So Saints again, they could be higher, they could be lower, they could be right here in terms of ranking the DN duos. But as of now, kind of one-sided because Cameron Jordan. But that's my point there. So we'll see what they do. I hope they put rankings at the D tackle position, play them there more. That's just my take. So next off the board, very tough decision here. We're getting pretty even in the defensive end duos. We'll take the Bills off the board, a team that maybe isn't quite this high from the past production, but I think can be. I think Jerry Hughes, been an underrated guy. I think he's been playing pretty well the last few years, and nobody's really talking about him, so kind of underrated. Don't think he's elite or anything, but I think he played at a pretty high level. Nobody really realized. I think he can play at a higher level even. And then Shaq Lawson, who I was very high on a few years ago in the draft. I think it's his time to step up. So I think that's a pretty even duo. I think they have more potential, mainly Lawson. He was very impressive out of Clemson, and I think if healthy, that's a pretty darn good duo. Again, they can reach higher potential. So the Bills are a team to look out for. Could eventually be higher ranked than this by the end of the season. Another team I'll take off is the Dolphins, and this is a team that's deep at this position. Let me tell you, Cameron Wake, no longer elite. He was elite, but can still play at a high level. And they trade for Robert Quinn, who maybe some view as more of an outside linebacker. The Dolphins have a plan for him. I like him in this DN spot, and he can bring some production. He really knows how to get to the quarterback. So I'm confident those will be the starting duo there, Cameron Wake and Robert Quinn. But again, I mentioned depth. You got Andre Branch. You got William Hayes. You drafted Charles Harris, who was a clear first-round talent a year ago. If we're talking about a complete unit of defensive ends, the Dolphins, wow, it's impressive. And they don't have anybody elite anymore. Cameron Wake can be elite. Robert Quinn can be. Branch and Hayes have played at a high level in just the near past, I should say. Charles Harris, I think his potential's through the roof. It's going to be interesting. Any Dolphins fans watching this, let me know what you think your duo will be. Your predictions or should be in the near future. Charles Harris has to be part of that future. Just trading for Robert Quinn, and he's still pretty young. I think he maybe a Harris and Robert Quinn, two guys that were viewed as prospects as possible outside linebackers rushing the passer, but now playing defensive end, and I'm not really opposed to it. I like it. So in terms of depth, I really like it for the Dolphins. So, but in terms of just the duo, very good. Obviously, I said this was a good class here, good duo teams, so I'm very high on them, but maybe potentially could be higher depending on who steps up. Next off the board is going to be, we'll take the Cleveland Browns off. I like where they're heading. Obviously, Myles Garrett, honestly, right now, can be maybe the best defensive end in football. He's not there yet. He hasn't shown us yet. He was only a rookie last year, but we know he can do it. We know what he's capable of. And Emmanuel Ogbah, who I like a lot, I thought he was very underrated coming out of Oklahoma State. So I like him a lot, opposite of Myles Garrett. So that's a darn good duo in my opinion. I think they're pretty even at the moment. Obviously, Garrett's going to start taking over. Maybe they can make the duo better. So I'll take the Browns off. How many we got left? We got 7 teams left. I said I had 4 elite teams ranked. So we're almost there. Next, we'll take off. Man, it's pretty close. The next 3 teams are pretty close. Next, yeah. Trying to think. I'm going to take off the Cowboys, I guess. DeMarcus Lawrence obviously played at a high level last year. I thought his production mainly came from the first half of the season. The reason I'm going to take him off next is Taco Charlton. I expect to be at a higher level. I expect to be better and can get better because he's young. He's got potential. But we need to see more from him. So that's the reason I'm going to take him off now. DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously, big-time pass rusher. Very good technician. So we'll take the Cowboys off, but obviously very good. I expect big things from the Cowboys. Pass rush. So next off the board, we're gonna go with the Arizona Cardinals. Chandler Jones, obviously at the top of the NFL in sacks. Very impressive. A guy that shown he can play outside linebacker and rush the passer and play defensive end. He isn't really talked about enough. Everyone's talking about the other guys there at the top of the NFL and in pass rush production, and he needs to be talked about more, especially what he can do. There's like very few guys that can rush the passer in different ways like that, off the ball, on the ball, hand in the dirt. He's very good. And then Golden is another underrated player. I mean, nowhere near as good as Chandler Jones, but a very good football player. So I think that's a pretty solid duo. With Chandler Jones, one of the best in the game, so that's why they are up here. And they got Steve Wilks coming in too. Could it get better? All right. So one more team off the board before we get to the Elite Four. That last team coming in 5th place for me is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. You expect it to be Vic Beasley. He's got some action at linebacker. I think he can be really what same thing with Chandler Jones. I think he can play off the ball. I think he can play on the ball. Then they got a rare talent there. I think he'll be better at the defensive end position. And Takk McKinley, I expect to be the other one. They do have Brooks Reed too, but Takk McKinley showed signs he can reach that potential in the near future at the end of last year. And I mean, he was a first-round pick for a reason. So he's very flashy, very athletic pass rusher. I liked him a lot a year ago. So Beasley and Takk, it should be a darn good duo. I think they complement each other very well. So I expect both of them to have a way better year this year than they did last year. I mean, not crazy better, but I'm very, very confident both will have a better year. And they have Dan Quinn in there, obviously, so it's going to work out. That is a darn good duo. It gets 5th place. So we're on to my 4, Elite 4. No doubt in my mind, these 4 teams are elite in this category. So coming in 4th place, this is tough. This is very tough. Coming in 4th place, if it was based off the 2017 season, what they did in 2017 season, this may be 1st. But this is going forward for this year. It's going to be the Jaguars. Calais Campbell played, kind of surprised us a little bit. We knew he can play at a high level, but played at an extremely high level last year. I hate to doubt him, but I don't know if he can be as good, I should say. He's going to be good. He's a good football player. He's going to give you production. But I'd kind of be surprised if he gave us the same thing or better. That's just how I feel. He can be close. He can be very good, a factor. But we will see. Then Yannick Ngakoue, a surprising rookie out of last year from Maryland. And what did he get? 10-plus sacks over there. It's another question mark. Can he do it again? I think he can. But we need a guy we need to see more of. So that's why they come off the board 4th. I'm just a little more confident about these other teams. But again, elite duo. I'm very excited to see Yannick's progression, see what he can be. Can he improve even more off the 10.5 or so sacks? Calais Campbell, can he continue to play at a high level? I think he can. So maybe if it's based on 2017, maybe they are 1. But I have them coming in at 4. But again, the top 4 are elite. They're very close. Coming in at number 3, I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings off the board. I gave them number 3. Everson Griffin, elite defensive end. Could argue maybe the best 4-3 defensive end in football. Just freak athlete. The reason they can't be 1 or 2 right now, Danielle Hunter, freakish guy, and I'm very confident he will be better this year than he was last year. Production really wasn't all there in terms of sacks if you look at the stat sheet, but he got so much pressure on the quarterback last year that those are going to, he's just a millisecond off, those are going to turn into sacks. 2 years ago, as a rotation guy, he led the team in sacks, had more sacks than Everson Griffin, which is mind-blowing, and he's still at a young age. So I'm confident Danielle Hunter will be much better. So this is a darn good duo. Could honestly be number 1 at the end of the season. I expect Everson Griffin to be at the same level he was at last year, maybe even better. So very good duo there. Then number 1 versus number 2, very close, very, very close. You got the Eagles with Brandon Graham, obviously one of the best at his position. Such a factor, such an impact for the Eagles in winning the Super Bowl just throughout the whole season. And they add Michael Bennett. Maybe not as good the last few years as he was in the past, but we know what he's capable of. We know he can play at a high level. They do have Derek Barnett, who was extremely high in the draft last year. So they have endless amounts of guys that can be this duo, but I got Brandon Graham and Michael Bennett. Excellent duo. And then the Chargers, who they're competing here for the number 1 spot. Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa, true defensive end, young talent, can continue to get better, which could be scary. Melvin Ingram, kind of that hybrid guy like we talked about. from a few other guys that you rarely see. Can play off the ball, can play on the line. So who wins this duo battle for the upcoming season going forward here? The number one spot I gave to the LA Chargers. Joey Bosa, like I said, just playing at elite level already. Maybe some of these guys right now, maybe a little better. The guys we just talked about in the elite categories, but just real soon, maybe this year he's going to be outplaying those guys because the potential he can reach, and he's already playing at a high level. It's scary. But the main guy here, people focus on Joey Bosa. Melvin Ingram has got to be one of my favorite players in football, and it's because what he does, how underrated he is. I mean, the Chargers play a hybrid 4-3, so maybe it's not fair. They're considered here, but I view it more as a 4-3 as a 3-4. Melvin Ingram plays what is called the Leo position. It's a linebacker end. That's where the Leo comes from, linebacker end. So what Melvin Ingram plays is just, he doesn't get enough credit. He plays two positions, basically. He plays two positions, and he plays at a high level in both the pass and the run game. He's a veteran, too, and he's still an athletic freak and playing at a high level. So I don't think he gets enough love. Love this duo going forward. Joey Bosa, can't wait to see what he's got for us. It's going to be fun to watch. But again, the four teams can, if you told me they were in reverse order in your opinion, I'm really not going to argue with you. I really like this Elite Four. Again, I think I believe it's 20 teams, 4-3 teams, are good. But the difference between 4 and the rest, I think is a pretty good gap. I think a team like the Falcons and the Browns, with the potential talent they have, can be interesting. The Dolphins, I love their depth. The Bills, if Shaq Lawson can step up. The Saints, if Davenport can develop fast, because Cameron Jordan is already at an elite level, can continue to be at elite level. Teams like the Niners and Raiders, I think that I could have taken off the board a little early, because the talent is there. The talent is there. I just view a lot of those guys as 3-4 guys. So I kind of wanted to put them together, take them off the board at the same time. So the talent, again, it's there. It's for sure there. Can't wait to watch some of these teams. I'm more of a 4-3 guy, like I said. Just look at the most complete teams here. It's just really the most complete teams all around. Maybe the top 4 teams in this category. It shows how important the pass rush is and how good the 4-3 is. The Chargers, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Jags. The Eagles, Vikings, Jags were at the top of the NFL last year. Eagles winning the Super Bowl. They all run the 4-3. So I know if you're a coach that gets thrown in to a team with the players already set for a 3-4, I understand why you're running it. But it shows how good the defense is here. That's just my take on it, though. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate the support. Our goal is 10K subscribers by the season. I think we can get there with your help. But thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already. That'll do it for this one. We got plenty more NFL content to come leading up to the season and through the season. Then the draft. We got all year round. We got you covered. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.